God we will follow.
Hello and welcome to Trinity Talk Live, water cooler conversation from a Christian perspective. I am Ken Coughlin. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hey, something we've been trying to do over the past year, this is our 11th month doing it, is we've taken one episode of the show every month and we featured one of our ministry teams here at Trinity. We've gone through a whole lot of them, and today we're going to be focusing on our youth ministry. Thank you very much to all these people over here that are joining me here today to talk about youth ministry. The goal here, what we're trying to do is, if you are worshiping with us here at Trinity, then these episodes can help give you kind of a look behind the scenes as far as what we do here and how the church is run. And if you don't worship with us here at Trinity, hey, look at these friendly faces. Come on, worship with us here at Trinity. But seriously, though, if you're too far away, if you are close enough, there's always room. We'd love to have you. If you're too far away, then hopefully these episodes we do once a month can at least maybe give you some ideas that you might be able to bring back to your home church. So speaking of these lovely folks next to me that are going to be talking to us here today, why don't we get some brief introductions, starting with a Trinity Joppa Channel celebrity sitting immediately to my right, who is a regular on our weekly devotional, Trinity Talk Devotions program, but has not been on Trinity Talk Live for, I want to say, over a year. So this is the triumphant return of Reese Turner to Trinity Talk Live. Let's hear it, everybody, for Reese. Yay! All right, tell us who you are and something about yourself.
I'm Reese Turner. I'm the youth director here at Trinity Lutheran Church, and that's it.
Okay, that's great. All right. All right, and next.
Well, I'm Joseph Turner, and I like to wrestle.
You stole that before your brother could say it, huh?
I did.
Okay, and next one on down the line.
Well, I'm Jonathan Turner. I just like doing sports in general.
Ooh, he one-upped you there a little bit, you see? You're just a wrestler. He can do it all. And next one.
I'm Lucas Cooper. I like to do sports too, and I've been going to the church for 2 years.
See how he did that, guys? I mean, the Turner brothers. You see, he threw that. He said something about the church, something nice about the church. I just asked everybody to come to worship here because all these friendly faces. Lucas is selling the church. I'm just saying. You guys,
People will come because of me.
And last but certainly not least.
I'm Katie Lander. I'm the high school youth leader here.
And Katie is also an old school Trinity Talk Live celebrity. How many times have you been on now?
Oh, don't ask me that. I don't remember. Four, maybe?
That's why I ask you, because I don't remember. That way one of us is going to get embarrassed by the question. It's going to be you.
Four
Sure.
times.
Just say definitively.
That's right.
Seriously, we're up to like 90-something episodes. Nobody's going to go back and count. You're good.
They might. You got a whole page about it, don't you?
That is true. They could actually click on your name on the IMDb page and would show just the episodes you've been in.
We'll
So
double check.
there you go. So now that we mentioned that, somebody's going to actually do that and maybe comment, say, no, she's been on 5 or 3 or whatever.
That's all right.
Well, thank you for coming back. I appreciate it. And thank you too, Reese, for coming back. And thank you, gentlemen, for coming on for the first time. This is your Trinity Talk Live premiere. Now, okay, for those of you that watch the Trinity Joppa channel, you know we got to say it, Joseph. I'm sorry. But this guy sitting here in the blue shirt might sound familiar, especially to some of your children. Can you give us a little bit of him? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jake from our animated show, Jake and Gracie. Can you do little Jake for us?
Hi.
That's a little Jake. That's right. So in case you ever want to put a name to the animated character, this is Jake. So thank you very much. What? Oh, Jonathan's been on the show. You really? Okay. Jonathan has also been on Jake and Gracie. I don't know what episode it was, but he plays, we said James was what we named your character, right?
Yeah, my name is James.
James. And we typecast him. He's Jake's twin brother. So amazing that. And your line was?
Hi. And then I said bye.
There you go. So I'm not saying Lucas is going to have to get on the animated show Jake and Gracie at some point, but everybody else, in the middle here has been on it before, so we might have to work that out. All right, let's actually get to the topic we're here to talk about. What do you say? So, as fun as this is. So we're here to talk about youth ministry. All right.
By the way, Katie was on 3 episodes.
You looked her up while we were waiting? So this is her 4th then. She's been on 3 previously.
Woo,
so you were right. Look at that.
That's right. Happy anniversary. Thank you.
All right, now let's really get to the topic we're here to talk about. You guys we can't just shoot the breeze for 20 minutes. We actually have to talk about youth ministry at some point. So why don't we start out by talking about just kind of the question that's got to be asked first of all, because we had an episode with children's ministry before. So when we're talking about youth ministry, what are we talking about? What is youth ministry?
So here at Trinity, youth ministries are middle and high school. We get together on Wednesday nights for a youth group during the school year from 6:30 to 8:30, and we meet, hang out, have some fellowship time, some worship time, and then most importantly, we get to learn about our Lord. And then during the summer, we have some fun activities. Occasionally, we'll go on a retreat, and we get to hang out with these cool guys. And
Just
we
you
meet
guys.
on Sunday mornings as well for a little bit of fellowship and Bible study.
That's really neat. I want to kind of build on some of that because you mentioned that you're. Let me ask you this. Ask us a question. Field it to you guys. If you had to describe a typical Wednesday night youth group get together gathering, maybe there is no. Maybe it's a bad question. Maybe there's no such thing as a typical one. But what would the typical night be like?
I'd say you get there, you talk to your friends for a little bit, hang out. Then we might come in here, listen to our youth band, sing some songs. Then we have a lesson, and then we go play some dodgeball or gaga, have a good time.
Punch some concrete.
Yes.
But that's so you've got elements worked in. First of all, how long is a typical youth meeting?
2 hours.
2 hours. All right. So in the course of that 2 hours, you've got some praise time. You've got some, so you got your praise and worship element. You've got your, I hate to use the word education in front of the youth because they'll say, wait a minute, I'm learning something. But you've got that Bible study time or whatever, and then you've got some fellowship and recreational time too. Is that always the way you've done things, Reese?
For the most part, I mean, it's all about making sure that we connect with God and connect with each other and have fun while we're doing it. So, for the most part, I mean, we may make some changes. One day you'll come in and we'll have playtime, if that's what you want to call it, fellowship time first, and then the next time you come, we may switch it up because we want to make sure we're creative, leave room for God to move and to be led by the Spirit of God. In the midst of us having all of our fun and loving on each other, we want to make sure that we not forget to keep Jesus as the main thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you think about. If I were talking to somebody out there who's maybe doesn't have a youth ministry going at their church, I like that keeping that model in mind that it's not just like a Sunday school for the youth. I mean, it's more than that. I mean, there's certainly the Bible study element to it, but the whole thing, even when you're fellowshipping, like you say, Reese, you're still trying to keep Jesus as the main thing. I mean, even in those fellowship times, I mean, I would hope, for example, that if you guys have never thrown a gaga ball at someone's head on purpose, right?
Well,
Wrong question.
Notice I said gaga, not dodge, because I've learned enough about the rules of gaga to know that ball's supposed to stay on the ground.
But it's all in
Usually.
love, right?
Right. She said it's all in love. No joke. I think that the one thing that that we pride ourselves in, for lack of a better word, is love for each other. Because I think that no matter what, if our youth as well as our leaders don't have the love of Christ first and then love for each other, then everything that we're doing is in vain. So I think the one thing that attracts people to this particular youth group is that they come here and they sense love, the love of God through us, to each other, and from our leaders.
As a matter of fact, you guys are getting ready to go out. Speaking of love for others, you're getting ready to go out on a mission trip, right? Who wants to tell me about that? What are you doing?
Well, we're going to Rhode Island, and I don't know which place in Rhode Island.
There's not that many places in Rhode
Oh,
Island.
sorry.
Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
And usually we go there, and we meet with like a resident, and we help them just improve some parts of their house.
Like what kind of stuff you guys are going to be doing, do you know?
Like sometimes I get roofing, we paint sometimes, build porches, just talk to the like the homeowners sometimes, just there for company and help.
And about how many people you got going? Anybody know?
We have 34 people going.
Is that including youth and adults? Or?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm curious how you guys see. I've never been on one of our mission trips here, the youth mission trips here at Trinity, so I'm curious what the atmosphere is like, and if you see any of the fellowship time that you spend, the commitment you make to having these kids learn together, play together, worship together every week, how that carries over into serving together when they're on the mission trip.
I think it carries over really well because when we're like serving with like other people, we kind of like share our love just because like we just have like a loving connection just with people in general. So like we get there and we have like our little groups and we really don't know anybody, and then we try to connect, and usually we connect really well, and then we try to like connect with the homeowner, and just I think it's just really like a loving environment because everyone's trying to help out and try to like show everybody how God uses them to help people.
Cool.
I wanted to say something. I wanted to
yeah.
give them an opportunity first, but one thing that I will share is that I cannot really understand it, but whenever we do, not just a mission trip, but even retreats, and I think recently Katie and I did a retreat with, and my oldest son, with just a handful of youth. But once we go on a trip together, it's like there's a bond that just cannot be broken. They even if they don't know each other, once they go away, they come back with a greater love for Christ because we actually have intense fellowship when we're away with God and other people, but then with each other. I don't know if it's the dependency upon each other as we travel or what it is, but I'm telling you, every single time we've gone with a group, they're just relationships that form, not just with the youth here, but there are kids in other states that our youth connect with, and they stay in touch with these youth year after year after year, and some of the residents. I mean, it's not like something you just do. And the love that they have is, and the passion for what they're doing as far as serving, even while we're driving home, they're already fired up for the next year. So once you go once, if you've not had an opportunity to go, this is not a sales pitch. It's from my heart. You are missing out. At least one time, treat yourself. Forget about what you're going to get out of this, but go with the mentality of how can I serve someone else? And as a result, God will always bless you. These guys have been, I think this will be their fourth year, and Lucas, this is your second.
Yep.
And before we even got back, they were already talking about the next year. So for a youth to take a week off, spend money, raise money, and go to serve someone else, I think that's pretty impressive. It says a whole lot without even saying anything.
Now, to be fair, I think you have to say for a youth, a teenager, to spending money in general usually is not a problem. Okay, it's what they're spending it on.
Yes.
I mean, I have a teenage daughter, and she's sitting out there right now, probably with earbuds, not going to know I'm even talking about her. Oh, there she is looking. She has no problem spending money. I will tell you. If I gave her the credit card, she'd max it out before the end of the day. But I'm kidding. So, Ed, no, seriously. So, we're kind of we're titling this episode "The Importance of Youth Ministry," and so if you guys had to just anybody pitch in or everybody pitch in, as far as if you had to describe why having a dedicated youth ministry is important, whether it be what's important to youth versus what's important to adults and things like that, what would you say to somebody who asks you, well, why does my church really need a youth ministry? Why should I have one?
Well, I would say because you go to school every day, you have friends, but it's just not like the people aren't necessarily Christians, and you don't really get to think about God all day. You try to, but it's really hard. But then when you come to like a youth group, it's a time to kind of wind down, hang out with friends, of course, but also friends that have a similar faith to you, and it's just you meet really good friends there, and strengthens your bond with the other people and also God.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think just walking through life in general, I've found just as an adult how important it is to have friends on the same page that I am on. And so, especially, I feel like as a teenager, to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people like minded and like hearted. And not only does that further you, but it can help you reach out farther and create, a band of people that can come together if you're in need or if someone else is in need. And then I think it kind of helps when you have people that you're really close with, friends that you're close with, to go out and serve and do those things that they get to go do for others.
I wanted to add one thing. I think that one thing that's so important in youth group is being able to be accepted for who you are. And to give you kind of an example, if you know me, I talk to people all the time, whether it's in the church, outside of the church, in the store. And maybe within the last couple of months, I met someone at a store. standing right behind me in line. Of course, it took me 5 seconds to, talk to this person. And I invited her child to our youth group because she shared with me that her daughter had been to many youth groups and never was able to fit in. And I said to her, I don't know if it's going to take a week, 2 weeks, but I promise you there will be someone there that will connect with her. And we bought this youth, or her parents brought the youth to our, just to one of our events. I forgot what the event was. And I tried to make, her feel welcome and find a connection. And I just was not succeeding for the first maybe hour. One person can make a difference. And finally, I introduced her to this one person, and the two of those people are so connected. As a matter of fact, one additional person was Ken's youngest son, or only son, James, and the three of them have connected. So I think that one of the great things about being a part of a youth group is being accepted for who you are. Don't have to change anything, and people accept you and have a love. And also, in a world where we go send our kids every day to school, where everything is accepted and people are bullying people and doing all kinds of stuff, to have a safe place where you have that likeness or that common denominator of Christ, so you can come here and share your faith one with another and not be judged or condemned or made fun of. I think that's so huge. But this youth group is a youth group where whoever you are will accept you just the way you are, and not just accept you, but love you where you are. I think that's so key.
Well, I was going to say, kind of in relation to that, but also as they were talking about the mission trip, is making relationships with people that you might not have otherwise. So if you're not in a youth group and you're looking to get connected to one, to come out, and mission trip is a great way to start that. Because you make such intense relationships so quickly. But I think it throws, like with the group that we go with, you're in a group of 5 or 6 kids that you don't know. And there are people that you might not have talked to otherwise. And so I think, when you come out and, to just an event, you might be nervous, not want to talk to anybody, or, talk to 1 or 2 people. But when you're thrown into a van or onto a mission trip work site where, these are the people that you're with all week.
And you have a goal.
Yes, it makes a big difference, and it causes relationships to happen fast, but to happen deep. And those deep relationships are what's going to help you get through the next, however many years, 2, 3, 4 years until you're done with school, and maybe even outside of that once you head into college and into an adult life. And so back around, I think, that's another reason why youth ministry is so important, to feed them now and create these relationships that they can travel the rest of their lives with, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think I like talking about what they're, and Lucas, you talked about this, about the difference between being with the environment when you're at school versus a youth group and everything. And I know, especially when these kids are in middle school, high school, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush and make it sound like it's every school is just as bad or anything like that, but it is a very common theme that schools are, kids that age can be very judgmental, very bullying. I think you mentioned Reese. And so it's if that's all they're being exposed to, I mean, it's small wonder that we're having so many kids that are in very much crisis situations. And I think that having an environment like this where you can come and know you're going to be loved is, if I were to say just number one reason why churches need to have more and prioritize youth ministry, that's it. To give these kids a place where they can come and they can be loved and they can make connections. The best, I guess, the best insurance for your mental well-being is that you have connections and you have personal connections with people that you care about and care about you. So I want to ask these 3 gentlemen in the middle here, as we're winding down time-wise, about just to share with us any thoughts we haven't shared so far, or what's meant the most to you personally, or to somebody if you have something like that, about youth ministry in general.
I think the thing that meant most to me was just having, as you said before, connections. Just because you have someone, if you talk to someone your same age group, and then they both go to like the schools. You have like the same like situation that they're going through, so you both have like the same thing to talk about, so you can like figure out your situation better. The thing I like about it is that like the outreach of it. You know what I'm saying? So like it makes people, even though like we're since it's bringing people more to church, like especially youth, because they have friends there, they're being accepted there, so like you're you're making them want to come out of the house and making them want to not just go to school but be active with other people and like express their faith. Just have a place to stay at and chill at often.
Yeah, I would have to say the best thing is probably like the bonds made because like a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, I didn't really know anyone here. Then I went on the mission trip and met a lot of like good people that I still hang out with. Still, I'm good friends with them. See them every week here, and it just made a big difference having friends that are Christian and that you can go and talk to about anything.
And you know how Lucas knows he's been accepted here? We did something very special for him this past spring. We hung him on a cross.
Yeah.
You know what? I was going to explain further, but I think I'm just going to leave that there and let people out there wondering, what the heck are they doing at their youth group? So, wasn't it youth group? Just right here in the sanctuary, hung him on a cross, took him down, waited a few days, hung him up again. So, I think people probably figure it out by that. All right. Reese, Katie, I didn't mean to leave you out as I directed to the boys. Was there anything else that we haven't talked about that you wanted to address before we wrap things up?
The only other thing that I had is to say that came to mind is just that these youth are our future, you know. And so if we're not investing in them, if we're not feeding them, if we're not, you know, showing them how to live your faith, because you can talk about it all you want, but do as I say and not as I do doesn't work. They need to see it. And when they see it, then they can do it too. And, you know, everyone gets older and they're going to grow up and they're the future of our church. And I think it's so important to invest the time now. We can't wait. We need to plant these seeds and give God the opportunity, you know, to grow them for as long as he needs to use these youth for the amazing things that he has for them.
I only have one last thing I want to share. Maybe within the last month to month and a half, I met someone on one of our little adventures in Churchville. She's never been to any youth group ever, and she swore to me she would never ever go to a youth group. Nevertheless, the very next week, she's like, "I'm coming," and she showed up. And maybe this past week, she shared with me that the one thing that she noticed is she said, "Reese, I noticed one thing," and she loves youth group, loves her new youth leader, is excited every week to come. Already talking about the game that we're going to this week as we try to get our kids out and about in the community and outside of just the walls of the church. And one of the things she shared is that when I came there, I noticed that people, this group is here, that group is there, that group is there, and she was telling me how she know that people were already like in their own little space. Initially, up until sitting right here, I thought, man, I've got to try to change that so that everybody's together. Well, the truth is, I think that it's perfect. That means no matter where you are, what you're dealing with, what your, geekiness or your nerdiness or your wrestlingness, there's something in this group that will connect you. So I think it's okay. Sitting here, I had to change my mindset and say it's okay that we have all of these different groups because as a whole, we still come together, we still worship together, we still fellowship together. But these three guys are into wrestling, and that's what connects them. They eat wrestling, they sleep wrestling, they drink. Everything's wrestling. I get lost in their conversation and come back. So I think the one thing that for again, the lack of a better word, pride myself in is that God has anointed, appointed, and ordained this youth group to accept you wherever you are and know that there's a group in this group that anyone and everyone can fit into. And for me, I think that's huge because we have the nerds and the nerds are not, and the haves and the have nots. But no matter who you are, there's someone in this group. So the bottom line is that we find a way to show the love of Christ, connect with God, and connect with each other in this youth ministry.
Unity and diversity.
Amen.
yeah, I mean, we're all together, united in Christ. We're one body of Christ. You come together, but there's still diversity within that
Amen.
group, and that's okay. That's actually kind of a beautiful thing to be able to. Hey, society could learn something from that, don't you think?
Amen.
All right, so thank you very much. I want to close, wrap this episode up kind of the way we began, and part of that is I want my daughter Sarah, who I know could hear me because she heard me earlier, to come on up here for a second. Come
Hurry
here.
up, Sarah.
Come
Go,
on
go,
up.
Go, go, come on.
Come on up.
Come on, Sarah. Sarah.
Come over here to my side. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. The show's only supposed to be like 25 minutes long. All right. So I'm going to have her take my seat here for a minute. For those who don't know, Sarah is the voice of Gracie. Come here. I made him do it. And so what I'd actually like them to do real quick, I would just like a hi, I'm Jake, and a hi, I'm Gracie from Jake. Or better yet, since we're ending the show, how about a bye, I'm Jake, and a bye, I'm Gracie? Can we do that? Ladies and gentlemen, Jake and Gracie. Here we go.
Remember, your line is bye this time.
Just say bye.
It's Jake and Gracie, so you go first.
Bye.
All right, round of applause for Jake and Gracie. Thank you very much. All right, my mic is sagging here. So thank you very much, Sarah, for coming on the show. And thank you all for watching. If you did, I'm going to adjust my mic here a little bit because it's dropping down from my mouth. Hopefully that'll last till the end of the show. Thank you all very much for watching. If you did like this episode, do me a favor, click the like button. That's a thumbs up button right here on the YouTube page. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of really great shows on this channel, including...
Oh, sorry. Wait, Jake and Gracie.
We've like this has been like this
Yes.
Jake and Gracie themed show, and
I forgot.
Take two.
I forgot.
including Jake and Gracie.
Yeah, go watch that.
That airs Saturday morning to 7 a.m. We got a lot, but seriously, we got a lot of good shows on this channel, so please subscribe to the YouTube channel and share this video, especially if you do know some people that are looking for starting to build up a youth ministry at their church. Hopefully there's something here we said that can be of value to them. Please share that with them as well. And we do have a Facebook page here, Trinity Joppa Channel is what it's called. Give us a like on there. We do post some behind-the-scenes things there from time to time, including also about what we got coming up for the various different programs. It's also a great way for you to give us feedback as far as what you would like to see. We are actually coming to the end of our first season of this kind of new block of shows. Last September, we started Jake and Gracie. We started Pocket Size Apologetics. We started, what am I forgetting? There's another show, In the World, started at that point in time. And so we really are looking for feedback as far as where we're going to be going into the next season. So please give us, if you're on Facebook, give us a like there on the Trinity Joppa channel page. And you can give us feedback on what you like, didn't like, what you want to see in the future. We'd really appreciate it. So also, let's see, what am I forgetting to do? Next week, I'm so used to saying that. We're on every other week now. Next week, there is no show because we're only every 2 weeks now. But in 2 weeks, we're going to be back with, Katie, who's going to be on the show next week?
You mean in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, thank you.
Ben Lander.
Ben Lander. Any recommendations for him at all, do you think? No.
Recommendation?
I mean, would you recommend to people to tune in when Ben is on the show?
Yes.
You
Okay.
should watch it.
Why not?
You should watch it.
Yeah, we
He
joke.
knows some stuff.
He knows some
He
stuff.
does all right.
I think it's something that I'll be honest. We call it Trinity Talk Live. The show is not filmed live. The show with Ben has already been filmed. It was filmed like a month ago. I think it's something about culture and Christianity and clashing. I don't know. We'll see. You know what? You want a surprise? Tune in next week. See what the show's about.
But 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Thank you, Katie. Keep me on my toes. Tune in 2 weeks. Ben's going to be back on the show. Thank you all very much for watching. Or not, you didn't watch. You were. I'm just going to sign off. This show is a disaster. All right. Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
In your word we will find.